This podcast is sponsored by the ZStick. Walk, stretch, or strike with the ZStick. Let's get it. Only available at Zenhaling. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Zenhaling Podcast. I'm Tim Kelly, creator of Zenhaling. If this is the first time you're joining us, welcome to Zenhaling. Zenhaling combines the Zen essence, the yogic path, and the martial spirit. And it does that through everything breath, meditation, movement, and energy. And in this podcast, I don't even know what we're doing in this podcast. Nah. Actually, this podcast is about everyday intention. So it's got a theme of what we're bringing to it every day with training. And the sub-theme is also surrendering. So it's something that, it's very difficult for me in my life to do. And, some of this whole week, that was the theme that kept on coming up for me personally through training. So when I'm doing that, it allows me to kind of explore some of the training on and off the mat, in and out of the dojo, because I'm really applying it to everyday life. So welcome to this episode. As in the last one, we're going to get right going with a little bit of refresher, and that's just in a refreshing of the facts. So some of the facts that we're going with is, we have 60,000 thoughts each day. We take about 23,000 breaths. So every breath we take, we have about 4 thoughts. And when we break down the mechanics of breathing, we look at the inhale, the pause between the inhale and your exhale, the exhale, and then the pause between your exhale, and then the time you take that next inhale. And that's one breath when you're talking about the mechanics of breathing. So a lot of the things we talked about in the previous podcast were, embracing that pause between the inhale and the exhale, not being in too much of a hurry to take that next breath, not being in too much of a hurry to actually let that breath out. So that's a little bit with the mechanics of breathing. We also talked about that pause with the breath and how your breath is connected to your thoughts. So when you pause the breath, you still the fluctuations of the mind. So just keeping those things in your consciousness and unconsciousness. Again, some of this especially with me, having some of this knowledge, always trying to learn something different. Some of what I need to do is just shut it off and just let the technology and let my own training take over. So in my own everyday life, it's balancing when to shut it down, when to surrender. So again, as I was talking about, the theme for this week and kind of my training all week was trying to surrender, trying to just go with it, stop battling, stop fighting. I'm a fighter, so when I have an obstacle in front of me, my first inkling is to go at it with a yang approach, good enthusiasm, but sometimes I need to just kind of absorb some of the energy, absorb the situation, and maybe even flow with it and go with it. So anyway, in this podcast, that was a little bit of a refresher. In the podcast, we're going to get going right now with that Break It Down segment. So again, the Break It Down segment is the segment where we break it down and I go into a training clip of basically a training clip of something I was doing from training this week. So I was able to get out in the field and have a great day the other day where we had a little break in the action from the weather and just able to get out back at the farm, doing a little bit of training. So in this break it down clip, we're just going to break down some of the mechanics of what's going on and kind of talk you through it. So really just at the farm, starting again with that ready position, that Samastiti. And to be honest with you, that day, I really didn't want to be there. It's the last thing I wanted to be doing. I had a ton of work to do, friends that wanted to get together. However, my body really needed it. And, it was feeling sluggish, but I also needed to expose the breath and just connect with my body. So, the good part about a lot of this training is maybe in my past life, I would have just blew it off, went out and did my thing. In the present moment, I'm noticing I need this. I'm valuing my own self and my own health, and I'm taking the time for me to feed my body on what it needs in order for me to keep my health. So, and it's as simple as that. And I know a lot of you at home are challenged with your own situations, your kids, your work, the mortgages, the bills, late payments, whatever it is that has you weighed down. And a lot of that takes away your breath. The stress of it takes over. It might be taking over your physical body. So a lot of that is if you're experiencing that, to value your own personal self. You need to be recharged, even if you have to go back out of that situation with the yang approach. So again, even me in the field here, it's just trying to recharge my batteries, my energy. I'm a human being, just like everybody else out there. So I'm just trying to balance my personal, my professional life, and balance that with as much yin and yang balance, but also with as much vigor, with as much love, with as much patience and kindness, and not get wrapped up in the little things, in the emotions. So for me, connecting with the physical body, that allows me to purge some of the emotions, connect with the breath, connecting with then the body, mind, a little bit of the soul, those emotions that get stored deep in the body, that you think you forgot about, but then when you get in some of these deep stretches or yoga stretches, all of a sudden it starts to bubble up. So some of the work on this is allowing it to bubble up. So I'm going to cut a little bit to this training. And as you see, I'm just right here in more of a 5-point star and a side stretch. Nice little lunge there. So you might see I have a good wide base. And that wide base, using that wide base the entire time, it's the Tai Chi base, or it's also the leg position that you'll see in yoga if you're in Warrior or Warrior 2. So it's kind of that heel to arch, or in Tai Chi, that horse stance. So, and it allows you really to kind of root in, like they talk about in Tai Chi. Take root and root in to the earth. So I may not look like I'm doing a lot in this clip, but having that stick up with my chest open and my arms reaching out and connecting in with my breath and with my legs far enough apart that if they slipped out any further, I might pull a groin muscle. So, and it's very muddy there too. So, just for me, just to even, I'm on a little bit of a hill, it's muddy, just to keep the base, I'm having to kind of automatically bring some energy into my tendon, my midline, my hara, the root, so the bandhas. So it's good, it's good training, just even that little baby stuff right there. It doesn't even look like I'm doing anything. And here I'm still just loosening up and getting used to the body. I can tell you right now, what was happening here is I'm probably dehydrated. Haven't been drinking a lot of water or as much water as I need. And I was feeling it in, this area of the hepatic flexure where your liver is, and your spleen, your splenic flexure. So that's the areas also where, if you can move those areas, it's where you can really jumpstart the body's peristalsis, the active peristalsis that helps to move your waste through you. So a lot of these twists are really good for that. It's good for wringing out the body like a wet rag, like I was talking about last week. So again, just kind of getting in some of this training here and just kind of talking it through. One of the things that occurred to me, I was reading the Musashi Book of Five Rings, and just real simple, elementary teaching attributes. And the biggest thing is, he talks about the first elementary teaching becomes the highest knowledge, and that the master still continues to practice this simple training and use this simple training as his everyday prayer. And, look at the ducks coming by, singing. I'm in a straddle, tucking my chin, really releasing the upper chest and the back, and connecting with the sacrum and getting a little twist going here. And, this is my everyday prayer. This was Sunday, so for me, that's why it was important for me to kind of just not blow Sunday off. It's my day to go inward. It's my day to just really, no matter what, even if all week I neglect myself, it's my way and my day. So again, right here, a straddle with a nice twist, connecting with the bodies, moving that peristalsis along. Those twists are great. So, connecting just a good energy from the heel all the way up. And again, if you notice, the legs haven't really changed too much. I'm still in that knee position and just here reaching up. So I'm kind of pulling the body. My body's going to have a natural tendency to start coming forward. So with the stick, I'm coming up the stick one hand breath at a time until I get to the top, and I'm at the full expression of the straddle. And that's kind of like when you're at the full expression with the samurai lunge, or for yoga, that would be if you're in a deep warrior one position, but lunging with different leg position. I'm noticing you can probably see my one cat here, Boo. So this is Boo. Hey Boo, say hi. Yep, that's Boo. Love that cat. But, we were talking about, again, that elementary type of training that's why in yoga, that same practice you're doing over and over. And that Tai Chi form, you're doing that form over and over and over. Because even if it's slow and it doesn't even seem martial, then when you speed it up, or when your body's natural muscle memory takes over and you actually have to execute the move fast or in real time, then that's when all that training takes over and you can just flow and not think about it. So that's when that would take place. So anyway, getting back here to the break it down segment, breaking down this clip. Just here in a Warrior 2, making sure I'm doing all the little micro movements. So just even there with the palms and the fingers up and out and then down. And you feel that either in the forearms or the front or the back of the forearms. So, one of the other things that was great with the Book of Five Rings, which is Musashi, the samurai, and it's the sword and the brush training. It's the way of kendo, and some of the great training that I like in it is, they talk about just the simple things like the gaze. So in yoga we have the Dristi, or your gaze point, and a lot of times it's like, looking at that area or through your nose or the tip of the stick, like I'm talking about for my ZStick, the tip of the stick. Or I'm in here like you're seeing in this clip. That was just me in the samurai lunge, and I'm probably going to gaze through the stick. So that would be my Dristi. And then the samurai training, or in Musashi in the Book of Five Rings, talks about that gaze being broad. So it's large and broad. It's twofold. It's perception, but it's also the sight. So yeah, it's your sight that you're seeing. So taking that drishti one step further, yogis. That drishti, that gaze point. So we got perception, we got that sight, and what we see, but then we also have our perception, which then there's the perception, our depth perception, but also our perception, our mental perception. Maybe we're even talking about a little bit of intuition. So activating that. If you're in these poses, close the eyes, even throw that gaze to the third eye. That's another micro movement. So again, I'm still just twisting. I'm still with those wide legs here, and still going to impart some of these great pearls from the Book of Five Rings. So one of the other things that Musashi talked about was your stance. So, we were talking about it all last week with the stance, and it's, with that wide base, or, but basically it's the head erect, the forehead unwrinkled, like that Samastiti or Tadasana, but it's your combat stance. And what's happening here is I'm still in the wide-legged stance, but I'm starting to do a little bit of just expulsion of breath. So I'm just getting out the expulsion of breath. I'm noticing it's very damp out, and I've been working around areas that might be moldy. So I've needed to kind of just expose the breath a little bit, get a little bit of yang out. Same deal here. I mean, again, I really did not want to be leaving at the farm this day. Last thing I wanted to be doing was touching the stick, but I needed to force myself to do it. So, I'm looking at this and being like, oh, you're really wussing out, guy, and doing that very yin. And again, even me saying that and looking at that, that's a mindset. And what I need to be doing more is in that mindset of just surrendering to that. Like, it's okay. You know what I mean? It's really okay. It's good that I just got out there and connected with nature and the ducks and all that. So don't be too hard on myself, and just you at home too. Don't be too hard on yourself. If you're beating yourself up for little things that you think you should be doing and you're not, don't be too hard on yourself. And again, just as I'm starting to get into it, I'm realizing, oh, you know what? I'm starting to get into it, and the body's loosening up a little bit, and the muscle memory's starting to take over. And then all of a sudden, I'm getting a little bit of sweat in. I'm probably not really, I'm in it. At least I'm in it a little bit right now. I can tell you that. And I'm remembering this was only a couple days ago. So, and now I'm starting to just at least wanting to spin a little bit, wanting to move my body a little bit. But it's sloppy there. It's a sloppy mess. Everything just kind of melted, all the snow. So I really have no footing there. But it just feels good to even be out and a little bit of fresh air there. And again, this is the Break It Down segment. Chilling out at the farm, suburban Pennsylvania. Doing little jingle jangles here, back and forth. It could be a little variation of a whippet drill. Going to side, being ready to strike no matter what. Doing that high leg kick. So for you baseball guys, or, just always trying to keep the base under. Trying to keep that movement. So just like an Aikido or, a little Aikido master, just spinning that a little bit. But again, really had no energy this day. And to be honest with you, it was a little pretty pitiful. But again, need to be surrendering. So let's get out of this segment. That was the Break It Down segment. You guys, anybody doing anything similar out there, I want you to send your clips in, upload them on YouTube or at the website at zenhaling.com, or inquires at zenhaling.com, and we'll get back in touch with you and accept your clips. We'll give you the FTP site coordinates. So anyway, let's keep going here.
So I got to wear goggles.
I saw that. I just clubbed myself in the head. And we're going to keep on moving it down into the next segment. So this next segment that we have going on here is called the Outside the Dojo segment. And, I like this segment because this, again, is what I was talking about at the beginning of this podcast. And it's real world stuff that's happening, So we were just talking about, I was talking about that Musashi and the gaze and the stance and the attitude and the intention and bringing your elementary training, always going over it again. But, outside of this, my situation, like I was talking about, is just surrendering. And, you know, one of the areas on surrendering with this was it's going to go into where the quotes are here. It's like some of this is just I'm overthinking things. Trying too hard in situations, and at times in my life I've been the salesman. So when you try too hard as the salesman, it's obvious. People can see it a mile away. When you try too hard in situations, even sometimes when you're trying to contribute to somebody's life or trying to, even if your intention is good, if they can't see it, so a lot of this is letting go of my attachment to outcome, and surrendering to the situation. Again, surrendering to the situation. When I've done that in my life, I've had magical things happen. So I invite you to try this in your life. My outside the dojo situation is exactly that. All week long, battling with people, places, the snow, everything, things, cars breaking. I start, what the heck? What are you going to do? All I had to do is start surrendering to it. So what did I do? I went in the field and started training. Instead of trying to work harder, instead of trying to remedy those things, I went in the field, just started training, and next thing you know, checks are showing up. Things are just happening. Things are getting fixed. So sometimes you just don't have to try as hard. So next time you have that big obstacle in front of you, instead of trying to plow through it, you might be the yang person like me. Try a little yin, try a little surrender in the situation. So again, in my outside the dojo situation is surrendering, and that's again through all different layers of my life. So let's keep this going. And again, it was relevant because of some of these quotes. So anyway, we're going to get to the quote segment right now, and I call that quote segment the advice from the past.
His real name's Moses.
And advice from the
His real
past.
name's Moses.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
I'll get up and I'll bury this telephone in your head.
So this is a pretty good segment because some of these quotes, they're just so simple. That one hits home. Let me tell you, that one definitely hits home. That quote hits home, and I just noticed that I might have had a little bit of audio issues, but that quote hits home because it's so simple yet very profound. I mean, we're talking about just very simple but profound. Before you speak, ask yourself, is it adding to it? I mean, a lot of times we'll do that all the time. We'll walk into a room, we have our nervous energy. I'm the worst at this. So, I have notes, silent, you know. One of the other things I'll do a lot of times is give my opinion when it's not asked. That's the other thing. It's like never give opinions unless you're asked of them. Now, that's just me, and that's just something I need to do because that's where I notice I need to balance. So that last quote really resonated with me. Um, I'm going to have to do a little, this next quote here. on this quote. It's another pretty easy one. Listen, or your tongue will keep you deaf. It's a Native American proverb. Again, listen, or your tongue will keep you deaf. What's that mean to you? To me, it means shut your big mouth and listen more. And if you're talking, you can't listen. So again, listen, or your tongue will keep you deaf. We'll move on to this next one. And this next one, it's pretty interesting too. It talks about the no mind state. So when we're talking about the no mind state, it's not the vacancy of idiocy, but the most supremely alert intelligence, undistracted by extraneous thought. Ramesh Balsekar. Damn, that was a long time ago in India. Check out all this great mastery, all this great knowledge. India, of course, India. But the no mind state. And again, it's not idiocy. It's not, hey, you're being brain dead. What'll happen a lot of times is I've struggled with this myself. Going back and forth, in and out of meditation and, with your energy. And a lot of times, you're tuning yourself in meditation. So coming right out of meditation and trying to immerse yourself right back into your life, a lot of times that first half hour, if you're really deep in meditation or deep into your training, coming back out of that, it can be very abrupt. It can trigger emotions. It can suck. It's not good. You want to stay in that. It's just like waking up. It's like you want to wake up and you want things to be gradual as opposed to boom and just the grind or the rush or having to do this or that. So, that no mind state, when I look at that, it's not really that you're being brain dead or that you're being an idiot, but, you're going inward. So you might just be tuning into a different resonance, a different frequency. So embrace that no mind state. Again, a really cool quote from Ramesh. And the no mind state, not the vacancy of idiocy, but the most supremely alert intelligence, undistracted by extraneous thought. So again, guys, keep on faking it. Keep on faking it until you make it. And send in your questions. This week, I believe, we only have one question. And in that one, the question is very simply, how can I get started? So, how are you going to get started if you've taken the whole winter off or, man, I got to get back into it. I still haven't done that, gotten into that resolutions yet. How am I going to get started? It takes just by one step, one day, 1 hour or 1/2 hour, but just doing it. And, the other day, one of my friends said how they took, one of those P90Xs, and it was just so hard. And they were really sore for like 5 days, couldn't even walk and couldn't do anything. And that's the point. It's not the point to do those type of things to get into it. Yeah, that's great with good enthusiasm getting into that and trying it, but, know yourself. Get into it gradually, warm into it so you can stay into it. It's like just like dieting. The fad diets or the crash diets, they just don't work. Consistency. So change the little habits. Change that one little habit. Celebrate that one baby step that's going to turn into a normal step that then's going to turn into a larger step and then a stride and then a running step and the deal. So celebrate your little victories and again, keep it going. Always be training. Again, if you're working on your breath, if you're working on your thoughts, if you're working on your posture and alignment or your composure, or like we were just talking about with Musashi, your stance or your gaze. Talk about working on that gaze. Oh my God, that is your vision, your gaze. So your gaze, not just your sight, but your vision. So your vision extends through your eyes, through your closed eyes, through that third eye, through your intuition, through that area of connecting with your higher intuition. What they talk about your psychic hotline. So go for it. Try it. You're capable. We all have the same wiring, and just use the technology. Try it. Take the baby steps and keep it going. So thank you for this podcast. We're going to get out of here, I think, in a little bit. Let me see if there's anything else, any other house cleaning here that I need to do. I think we're going to start to end out with a meditation. So we're going to end with one of the meditations from The Art of Meditation. And in the spirit of energy, like this week for me, my energy was a little bit depleted. So I need some rejuvenation. Maybe you're like me. So in the vein of that, we're going to end with the meditation for rejuvenation. Now, this meditation for rejuvenation is on The Art of Meditation. So if you haven't gotten it, get the DVD on Zenhaling.com or Amazon. And I thank you for joining me for this podcast. Join us for the next podcast. I believe we're going to have a special guest for you, either the next podcast or the following. And it's going to be the first guest that we have. So I'm very excited for that. And as always, I thank you for joining me on this journey, and breathe well. Take care. Hi, and welcome to this very simple meditation on rejuvenation. So this rejuvenation does precisely that. It helps to rejuvenate our body, our physical body. So if we're tired, we had a long day, this helps to just bring the energy from the bottom on up, from the root chakra all the way up. This helps to rejuvenate our physical body as well as our mental attitude. So it starts precisely just like most of the meditations, in a nice seated position. And then this time, I want you to interlace your fingers and contacting your thumbs and place them in an area, maybe in your lap, maybe contacting your lower abdomen, keeping your shoulders relaxed and back and down, keeping that head lifting and chin tucking and breathing and maybe smiling. Again, projecting what you want to project externally. And this meditation for rejuvenation is not anything you're going to really see. So this looks like I'm doing the meditation for rejuvenation right now. So in the meditation for rejuvenation, starts like most of the meditations. Now I have my hand position, and now I'm going to close my eyes and roll my gaze to my third eye. And I'm going to ask everybody to kind of tighten up their root lock. So this is the Mula Bandha in yoga. This is the area where we can feel stability in our lives. It's that root lock, that root chakra. So by doing that, it's just tightening up that perineal area, or for women, if you just like you're doing the Kegels. So tightening that area down low, engaging the Mula Bandha, that root lock. And on your inhale, engaging the Mula Bandha and inhaling in and silently chanting to yourself, God and I are one. On your exhale, releasing the root lock, exhaling and relaxing. So again, inhale, engaging the root lock, the Mula Bandha, chanting to yourself, God and I are one. Exhaling, releasing. Inhale, engage root lock, Mula Band. God and I are one. Exhale, releasing. So if you're uncomfortable with the God and I are one mantra, then replace that with anything that works in your life. It could be I am spirit, or something that helps you feel grounded, spirituality, to the earth, to the universe. So again, use this meditation and rejuvenation anytime you're needing to replenish the physical body. The first technique is the last. The beginner and the master behave the same way. Knowledge is full circle. Let's get it.